you change your mind?
Life and love.
Can I
change your mind?
About life and love.
Can I change your mind?
About life and love.
Can I
About how you're feeling. About you and your relationship. Can I help you see?
Well, everybody, welcome back, and we're so glad to be in our new studio.
Yes.
We're on a new title, Souls Healed,
Souls Healed.
under Charles and Cherie Jackson Ministries. How about that, man?
You better know it, baby. And we're super excited. We have now relocated. If you're here in the Knoxville area,
right.
We're now at 3907 Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. I like the MLK.
I do too.
It's
and
something spiritual about it.
It is,
you know?
and also we are at the beginning of the revitalization of the Burlington area.
You better know it. We want to thank Vivian Shipe, who is running for
Yes.
Seat 11, which is our county commissioner here in Knoxville, Tennessee.
That's right.
So we're just super excited about some things that are going on. We want to send a love shout out to our landlord owner. Her name is Terry K. Hill.
Yes.
And in the Burlington district, this woman owns the block.
That's right.
You know what
On
I'm saying?
the block.
On the block. She could have sold out, showed out,
That's right.
gave out, but she held in there, and
right.
God rewards those that don't faint.
That's right.
You know, so we're just very grateful and thankful. She was also a Soul Shine Award recipient. So we want to thank her. The name of her award was Rooted and Restoration.
That's right.
So they're in the Knoxville area. We're down here on the end where Asheville Highway, Chihawi Fair,
Yes.
a lot of things in the area that is really growing. And we have, I think it's 2 businesses in this area that's been here over 75 years.
Yes.
It's a barbershop
Yes.
in the Burlington community, and also it's a flowers.
Yes.
They do flowers, Petrie's Flowers. They're down on Asheville Highway, and they've been here for, like I said, over 75 years in this community, which goes to show you ain't got to keep going building to building to
That's
building.
right.
They've been
That's
there long
right.
enough. They own the building property, you know. So we want to welcome you all and thank all of our Kingdom Purpose TV watchers and
That's
listeners. We're now have elevated to the Roku channel.
That's right.
So make sure you tune in to Roku. And sweetheart, now I know you love your world news.
You know I love that segment.
Goodness. So let's come with it.
Okay, so what do you think about when you hear the term virgin birth? What do you think about it?
Mary and Jesus.
Okay, well, I'm here to tell you and y'all Mary ain't the only one had a virgin birth. Researchers have found out some species of sharks are having babies on their own. Females, without males.
Only Donnie.
It's called parthenogenesis.
Parthenogenesis.
Yeah, and what they found out is the majority of them are female sharks that are in captivity with the absence of males.
Right.
And they are able to fertilize their own eggs and produce a clone of themselves.
I would never want to do that. I would never want to do that. I love having you around.
I love having you around. And just to go to show, they say it's a survival mechanism, but they also found out that those sharks that are born through parthenogenesis doesn't have a long lifespan.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they say most of them die as babies. Some live to be 4 or 5 months, and the longest one they've seen was 6 years.
See, that goes to show you don't need to be doing it by yourself.
That's what God says.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
Male,
right.
female. You won't have a long life. Baby, so where you be getting these world news topics?
I love to do research, and I type in weird science news.
Right.
I wanna bring something that people hardly ever think about.
Yeah, you do. I'm here to tell you. It all started with the crabs.
She's
You
still
know,
about
he wanted
over
to bring
crabs
me a
now.
hermit crab home with no friends, and he's supposed to exchange a shell. I don't know where we're gonna get the shell.
We're in Knoxville, Tennessee.
We in Knoxville, Tennessee. I mean, go to Walmart. Like that's all I know. Go to the aquarium department.
They don't have them.
They don't have shells. Bless their hearts. They have boil attacks when they see us.
She's still on the ball attack, y'all.
Be like, y'all, even when I see a spicy bowl, I be thinking about them poor little crabs. I'm like, y'all turn them spicy bowls up right now. Dash and go. Everybody turn up them spicy
They
bowls.
really are.
But the poor little hermit, maybe them are the hermit crabs that y'all eating, the ones that just don't get no shells.
No, let's not say that.
Well, at the end of the day, you're still eating a crab in there. You know what I'm saying? Just make sure people eating real crabs and them spicy bowls. Please don't have no imitation crabs in there.
You say you got real crabs. Have
real crabs. You know, break the shell and really dig down in there and get the real meat.
You have to stun them before you boil them.
Yeah, you got to stun them before you burn.
But you know, we have been very busy. We just had the Soul Shine Awards.
Yes, we did.
You just performed at the Feel Good Sunday in Oak Ridge, Tennessee.
You better know it.
And we have a lot more coming up, and we just thanking God for the doors that He is opening.
You better know it. Much love going out to Martinez Creed down in Georgia and his wife Shamika, and also Seven down there in Atlanta, Georgia, just showing out. Man, he said like when you close your eyes, I'm telling y'all, Teddy Pendergrass is in the building. You know what I'm saying? And I know this is a ministry conversation, but you know, let's keep it real. You know, we have date nights.
And I'm not making love to you on no Amazing Grace.
No, we're not.
We're not dancing to Amazing Grace either.
No,
and he's agreed to come and do some of our Friday night date nights specials we're gonna be having.
Yeah, so we got some goodies up our sleeve as we get settled here in our Bellerton community. So we're gonna be throwing some Friday night date night events where we're just asking for couples to come.
That's right.
And we'll be learning some like dances and eating some good food and you know, like dancing, put on them little short skirts, y'all ladies. Our topic for today, we're going to be talking about, as y'all know, we're talking about Souls Heals. And today we're going to talk about the other side of grief. And as we dig into that topic, I want you guys to think about, you know, when you're going through grief, whether you've lost your parents or your grandparents or even best friends, even your children. As time goes on and the years go on, we want to help you identify some signs of some things that you're going through in your grief. And we're going to come back with a song message from God, and we will be right back.
Sharing about music, She Will Heal Ministry. After burying my kids,
lost friends every day. I know that my troubles they home, and I know today I heard the word got in the Bible, and I heard His voice say, Sherry, follow my word. And I pray.
see, I think about my kids every day. And they give me the strength. Worry about memory. Oh, yeah. Now I'm out sharing my story. Because she will heal. Right on my knees. Right on my knees. Hey. Right on my knees. Right on my knees. Hey. Right on my knees. Right on my knees. Right on my God, turn around and bless me with a grandson.
Welcome back. How did y'all enjoy that?
Hey!
And don't forget, you can go to YouTube at Souls Right House at youtube.com and view all her soul messages from God. I mean, this was a commitment because we're past 365 now.
You better know it. We've actually started a whole new playlist,
We sure did.
which is the Charles and Sherry Jackson Ministries playlist. And they're just random songs that as God continues to flow them down, I just want to thank all the producers on Volico.
Yes.
We do not own any music that comes off Volico. Now we do own our track to I Hear the Call.
Yes, we
And
own
the
that
lyrics, we own our own lyrics, so we're constantly downloading what God says.
That's right.
So we just want to thank those artists, and we do not take the credit for their music.
That's right.
But we love to give credit where credit is due. The other side of grief is typically described not as complete end to sorrow, but as a state of integration, renewal, and newfound freedom. Rather than getting over a loss, reaching the other side involves learning to carry it differently, often leading to a deeper sense of resilience and perspective.
That's true, because like we on one of our earlier episodes, we learned from the doctor that was with Dr. Tony Evans. We need to stop giving people false hope, because you never get over it.
Never.
You just, like you just said, there's another side of it where you learn to carry it.
That's right. Like he said, whenever someone mentions a loved one that is deceased, ask them their name. You know, someone say, well, I lost my granny. Well, what was her name? Not just granny, that ain't good enough, you know, or I lost my child. What was their name? What the other side looks like. Won't you give them a little bit of information?
Okay, one of them is integration over completion. Grief is often seen as an alteration of being rather than a task to finish. The other side is where the loss is woven into your identity, allowing for joy to coexist with the memory of the loss.
So when you ask them what is their name, one of the things that I've learned is that when you ask me about my children and you ask me their name and I say their name, I immediately think about what they've done.
Right, because that's why I love asking you. I'm like, do you think Leslie will be singing? And we both agree she would be. And we would have she would have.
I would have had kids, but she'd had them first.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You know, having your
Because
girls.
she just like you.
My twin. But I do know that when you do ask them about their name, you associate their name with something that makes you smile. Like,
exactly.
you know, it just like now, I think about
That's
it. I think
right.
about her smile. She was just a happy little girl. And
Yes.
every time you would just get in her little face, she would just crack up laughing. Freedom and space. Healing creates emotional space that can initially feel empty or scary, but eventually offers the freedom to experience life with a new dimension of self. So being able to identify the loss, but also having that time where if you want to get away, have a little retreat.
That's right.
Sometimes you get away from family and friends,
That's right.
and you just need some alone time.
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong with that.
That's nothing wrong.
You ain't trying to hook up with nobody or
None of
mentally
that.
bring someone in that practically don't know what you're dealing with.
Exactly.
But sometimes you need that space, and I used to a lot before I met you.
Right.
Because now you're my safe place.
That's right.
Mwah.
Always will be.
But before I met him, I used to go away. I would go get a hotel room or a nice suite somewhere up in the mountains, Gatlinburg, the Smokies.com. I would go, and it was amazing the books that would flow out of me. It wasn't so much that I wanted to write a whole lot of books that spoke about the same thing.
Right.
I would get very creative, and I started creating journal books.
That's
Through the journal books was a way to create different areas that I could tackle.
Right.
And so whether it was focusing on work, because a lot of times when you deal with grief, you lose a lot of focus on your purpose.
That's right.
Or an assignment that you have because you're dealing with the grief, you just lay it down.
That's right.
And you don't really pick it back up, and then people don't help you pick it back up.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
sure.
saying? So if you're out there, you know somebody started making jewelry, and for 2 months they still on that one half circle. Be like, girl, I want a loop, okay? Can we get a loop? Can you finish the loop? You know what I'm saying? Even if just one earring, I got 2 ears, but you know, can we finish the loop? But like, help them out. Maybe sit down with them and maybe learn to do it with them. But it's like, don't allow people to stay stuck.
Exactly. And resilience and scars. The wound of grief becomes a scar, a permanent mark that no longer controls your actions, but signifies the strength you gain through the process. And you know what? I like that, resilience and scars. But sometimes, you know, we mistake this statement, resilience and scars, because, you know, especially me as a man and as a military person, we've been taught men shouldn't cry, you know, and being in the military, we've been taught to just sweep it under the rug, control your emotions to make it back home, which was for them.
Right.
It's not for them. But you can sometimes mistake this for resilience and scars.
Correct.
But since I've been with you, you know, I've learned that, you know, I haven't really truly grieved over some stuff. Mm-hmm. And now that I'm beginning to do that, I know that it's going to be an emotional scar, but now the joy and stuff is coming back. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And I like that, because he talked so much when we first started. He was so nervous.
That's right.
He was like, girl, you've been doing this for a long time, and I'm behind the scenes. I'm like,
behind the scenes person I used to be.
yeah, so you got to come out of that shell, but by doing so, allow the scars, sometimes the scab's got to come off, and it has to re-heal.
That's right.
Because it might not have healed right. You know how sometimes
like
you have a scar. You know how sometimes you get a scab, but it's still sore underneath?
Right.
Like it's still got liquid coming out of it, or it's got a scab, but but it's where you've hit it constantly, or rubbed it, and that's what God is saying sometimes, is that it didn't heal right. And so sometimes the scab got to come off, and it's going to hurt.
Yes.
It's going to bleed a little bit. You got to get some peroxide, put on it, get them bubbles in there, stay away from that alcohol. But guess what? It gives it a chance to re-heal again, and that's what happens in our life. It's never going to go away. The new normal. It marks the transition into a new normal where you can acknowledge the loss while fully embracing current joy and future hope. So it's just like, if you're a mother and you've lost a child and you're still able to have children again, you may not right away want to have a child real quickly, but to know that option is open.
Yes.
You don't want to replace the child you lost because they had their own identity.
That's right.
But at the same time, it's amazing how God will sometimes bring
He will.
the child back looking like the one you lost,
like
or someone
man.
that you lost, like my grandson. Yeah, so it's just so amazing. We're going to take a moment real quick, and we're going to have a video discussion with a life coach that's just going to help you understand that it's okay to talk to someone. Sometimes just talking to a pastor, sometimes it's not enough, because sometimes pastors have not dealt with the area of grief that you may be dealing with. Now, they deal with grief all the time, funerals and everything, but they bury people they don't know. They speaking over people they sometimes do not know and have never met. So at the same time, it's okay to go to a psychiatrist or go to someone on the outside that doesn't know your window on the inside. Because
grief counselors.
Because grief counseling, there's Grief Share, and then we're starting one.
Yes, we are.
Root of My Pain.
Matter of fact, at our church.
Yeah, it's getting ready to start. In this coming month, we're going to start our group, and it's going to be, we'll meet once a month on Wednesday. I'm going to feed you, so you get to come out and eat. You better know it. And if you would like to sponsor a meal, just please make sure you contact the Souls Right House, and we'll make sure we show you some love and give you some advertisement on our show. So you guys, we're going to be right back right after.
So I'm going to speak the truth today about grief, and then wait for that truth to then become contagious. Any widowed person or any person who has lost someone they love to death will tell you about the well-intentioned but sometimes insensitive comments coming from those on the outside. It was God's plan. Everything happens for a reason. There are many more, but these are some of the greatest hits. Now, the justification for these comments is always the same. They don't know what to say. I feel like it's time we change the conversation from they don't know what to say to, well, then let's teach them. Like the great Maya Angelou once said, when you know better, you do better. So let's focus on the most insensitive comment of all time, and the one that I feel is the most harmful. You need to move on. Get over it. Get on with your life. Let me say this as simply as I can. When it comes to the death of someone that you love, there is no such thing as moving on. It's a lie. It's a made-up concept created by people who are too uncomfortable with death and sadness and grief. But here's the thing, it's not their fault. They are only repeating what has become familiar to them throughout the years, what's been taught to them by society over and over again. You need to move on is a phrase born out of centuries of ignorance and fear, because grief feels a hell of a lot like fear. Now, the move on mentality starts very early, it's constant, and it doesn't really ever end. Within minutes of my husband's sudden death, I was attacked with questions. Will you be donating his organs today? Would you like cremation or casket with that? When can somebody come by your apartment and pick up some of his items? Now, at the time, I was told by people that these decisions were for my benefit, that it would help me to let go, to put all this behind me. At my husband's funeral, a total stranger came up to me, stood right by his casket, and said to me, "Today you grieve. Tomorrow, you get out there and find a new man." Really? Tomorrow? That seems a little soon. A widower friend of mine was offered this proposition from a relative of his. For every picture you take down of you and your wife from your bedstand, I'll give you $50. A widow goes to the cemetery all the time to visit her husband, and she keeps a lawn chair in the back of her car so she can sit with him at his gravesite. One day she goes out to her car and notices her chair is gone. Her friends, thinking that they are helping, said, "We took your chair. We don't think you should go there anymore. It's not healthy." Another friend was told by her priest after her brother died in a skiing accident, "Stop talking about him. You need to let him rest in peace." Another friend fathered 2 sons. When he filled out a school field trip form as such, he was told by the school principal, "Your other child has died, so you only have 1 son now." These heart-wrenching stories are real people, and this is the kind of treatment that they face every single day. Taking away someone's connection to someone they love who has died, what purpose does that serve? What kind of message are we sending? That the people we love are replaceable? That the love you have for your daughter, your mother, your brother, your best friend has an expiration date? That their life didn't really matter? When someone you love dies and you are told over and over again to move on, something inside of you breaks. And when that happens, you don't really feel much like living anymore. You figure, hey, why should I stick around when I'm not allowed to continue to love my person that I miss? So you start isolating. You keep to yourself. Your world becomes smaller and smaller. You disappear. My friend who was offered money to get rid of pictures of him and his wife, he no longer talks about his wife anymore with anyone. He says it's just not worth it, and he's tired of being silenced. The widow who had her lawn chair taken away, she still goes to the cemetery, but now she does it in secret. She tells nobody because she's tired of being judged for loving her husband who died. The woman who was told by her priest to stop talking about her brother, she did. She also stopped going to church. and her faith has suffered greatly because of it.
All right, welcome back, y'all.
Welcome back. I love talking with, watching, and as we go in and we find life coaches and speakers and ministers. You know, it's a variety of people that sow into us from a spiritual realm and also from a professional.
Right, and see, I love that because you're not just hearing it from us.
Correct.
You know, and that's the part I love about it.
That's the part I love.
Yes.
Because even when you speak to life coaches, you know, they have a faith base as well.
Okay.
They're very faith-based. And so we're just grateful and thankful to what God is doing in this season and opening up doors. And if you are a life coach out there, you would like to share some of your input on grief, loss, healing, restoration, please shoot us an email at soulsrighthouse@gmail.com, and we will contact you within 48 hours and give you a date, because our show comes on every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Well, every Thursday at 7 p.m. on Kingdom Purpose TV and also on Roku.
Y'all,
So
she said Wednesday because we so excited about our groups we break up into in Bible study.
You better know it. And that's at
Yes,
Cherry
yes,
Street,
yes,
Church of God Sanctified here in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Right.
So you guys make sure you get connected with Bible Study Wednesday.
Word Wednesday.
And they feeding us on Wednesday.
Right.
So some of y'all on Wednesdays, forget that cooking and running and grabbing something to eat and you don't even like it. Ain't nothing worse than be rushing and grabbing a burger and the burger ain't no good.
That's right.
Or overcooked or been sitting too long or the fries ain't fresh. And you ain't got time to wait on no salt on your fries.
Right.
You be like, I want no salt on them, but then they park you over there for 20 minutes.
So the noonday is everybody, and the 7 p.m. service is broken up. The women of word and the men of word. And I love it.
And we love it. And then one Wednesday a month, we will have the Root of My Pain encounters where people can, that way it doesn't break up the monogamy, because I don't want to cry every week. Now, we ain't meet every week to set up a crowd every week. You know what I'm saying? Be like, okay, I got to still go to church and function the rest of the week. But as you continue to heal, the other side of your daily emotions is not the absence of grief, but rather a state of emotional duality, where painful feelings and healing one exist at the same time. Healing involves moving between confronting the loss and finding restoration by embracing new roles and daily activities. So what I really like about that, one thing about me and dealing with grief for a long time, I sheltered it, I isolated myself, and it allowed books to be written on paper, but they didn't come out.
Right.
And so I think it's very important for you to involve yourself in activities that will help you lend who you really were before the grief happened.
Right.
So whether you're getting in volunteer situations, we got involved with Hot Dogs of Hope. And
yes.
We met them at our Soul Shine Award.
Wonderful young lady, wonderful outfit.
Yes. And so they just had a 1-year anniversary, which was so amazing.
My baby sung there.
Yes, and so it's like as we continue to connect, it's like helping me to heal is keeping me not a busybody, but keeping me focused in the area that is helping me to heal, which is singing.
Exactly.
The following are common positive counterparts to the emotions you deal with daily as grief integrates into your life.
That's right. From pain to emotional duality. The other side of intense daily emotions is often integration, where you no longer have to choose between being broken and being whole.
I like that.
I like that. Coexistence of joy and sorrow. You can simultaneously feel the ache of missing someone and the spark of new joy. These feelings do not cancel each other out, but braid together to help you process overwhelming moments.
Wow.
Wow. Ain't that something?
From sadness to gratitude. While sadness reflects the depth of your love, the other side is often a profound sense of gratitude for having had that love at all. So it's amazing.
That's
you may be missing them, but you got to also be grateful that you had that time with them.
That's
because we don't know the day or the hour. Everybody's not promised 75, 80, 90 years.
You are exactly right. And like we have discussed with my one of my best friends coming up was Cam, Lawrence Harden, that was so unexpected,
Yeah.
But you're teaching me, like you have been since we've been together. We talk about it, but I get to talk about the joyous times we had.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
And then to know, you was going off into the military, and he found new freedom with his faith.
Exactly.
And to know that, God was in the midst of it, and and even though we have to let him go, but to know that we know where he is. Is where the joy comes from.
Man, we were such brothers, because I wasn't quite in church yet when I was in the military. But when I came home on leave, me and this other guy would set every day, set a whole half of the day until turn nighttime aside to be with Cameo and did those things of the Lord.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
And that's why
we did nothing. Yes, right. We did nothing to try to entice him to go back into the world.
Right.
Right.
And see, that's wonderful. So he
is.
did that for y'all. So even in the midst of his absence, brings his presence.
That's right. I like that.
From fear to hope. The fear of the future can eventually transform into hope. Hope that memories will bring a smile instead of a breakdown, and hope that your journey might one day help someone else. And that was what we were just talking about.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, you don't concentrate on how he died, but you focus on the fact that because he died, and you look at his legacy and what he did.
Exactly.
You always talk about how well he dressed and things of that nature. To this day. And it's like, it puts a smile on your face. But it gives you hope that in talking about him can help shed some feelings to people that not only as they watch us, but you're going to lose someone you love. That's one thing we learned about loving anything is you'll lose it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Meaning reconstruction and post-traumatic growth.
Meaning making is a central process where the bereaved reaffirm or rebuild their sense of the world after it has been challenged by loss. New lens on life. Grief can lead to a shift in values and priorities, making you less tolerant of superficial connections and more focused on what truly matters. You know what? That is so true.
Yeah.
Because and I don't say this in a bad way when I say I can care less what people think. What I'm really trying to say is that I can care less about meaningful thoughts and meaningful conversations about us, because you and what God has for us to do is what truly matters. Us impacting others' lives in a positive way is what truly matters.
Correct.
And so I think loss and going through the grief, and you get to that point to where you really do just want to deal with what truly matters.
What really matters. Personal strength. You may discover a quiet sense of resilience and inner strength you didn't know you possess. And what I like about that is once you're at peace with them being gone over a period of time, especially when you start to see other people losing as well, And sometimes they lose more tragically than you did.
That's right.
And it becomes a sense of, you get a sense of peace. You know, I look at my kids, and my kids died when they were under a year old.
Right.
And even though it was tragic to me, and losing them was tragic to me in my sorrows,
Right.
but to be in a support group, and then you hear that a woman, her daughter, she always got out of the seatbelt. She didn't really make her get in it. You know how you see kids walk around the back seat of a car, and you be like, y'all better put them kids in a seatbelt. And I be like, why are you screaming? Because they can't hear you.
Exactly.
But one of these ladies in a support group, her daughter did that, and she did not have child safety lock on the door, and the little girl opened the door, and she ran over her own daughter. And to be in a support group and you hear these stories, and you hear, you know, somebody's child or son or daughter was murdered or stabbed or shot or whatever, it gives you a sense of peace because my kids didn't die that way.
Tragically like that.
It's like their death is tragic.
But it's not like
But they didn't die like that.
I
And
got
it
you.
gives me a sense of peace. And so for some people, you know, I want to, you don't compare
That's right.
how people die, but it is a difference in
There is a
how they
difference.
die
There is a difference.
and how you're
Right.
able to deal
Right.
with it. Yeah. go-
Connection and legacy.
Yes.
Meaning can be found by creating rituals that celebrate connections, not closure, or by finding ways to honor a loved one's legacy through your own actions.
Which is why we love having support groups. We love hosting events where we bring people to do their
That's right.
testimonies.
And that's why we also love having the Soul Shine Award
Yes.
on your daughter's death day.
On her death day.
Because it's a light day on that day.
It is.
It is.
And then he brings things to you. Someone's birthday is actually on that same day.
That's right.
So it
They came
totally
into your
vests me.
life.
Yes. So she shares a birthday on the death day, so it brought life.
Right.
Functional restoration beyond internal feelings, healing manifests in how you react in the world. Isolation.
Oscillation.
It is normal and healthy to move back and forth between loss-oriented copying, which is crying and remembering, and then restoration-oriented, which is coping, learning
That's
new
right.
skills, engaging in hobbies.
Replenishing resources, positive emotions, even small ones from daily activities like walking a dog or visiting the library, provide a psychological respite from negative ones and help you replenish your emotional energy.
So sometimes you are constantly around negative people. You have negative energy. People are constantly getting high, drunk, smoking, no purpose, no vision. And God is saying today, if you read 2 Timothy 3, is that, you know, you have to separate yourself. Because when you have a purpose and an assignment on your life, the enemy is there to pull you out of the will of God so that you can constantly delay it. Delay. Renewed self-identity. Transformation doesn't mean forgetting. It involves exploring who you are becoming now while accepting that some parts of your life have fundamentally changed. So like myself, in having 4 children and knowing that I lost 2, I got to move on with the 2 that I have. I can't constantly have them in a grief state to where they can't move on with their life because of them losing a sibling. And also in losing a sibling, you do have to concentrate on the children.
That's right.
When there are kids involved, they're not understanding why that person ain't coming home no more.
That's
They hear you say they went to Jesus and God and things of this nature, but they're still young.
Yes, exactly.
And Jesus and God is not something they can see.
That's right.
So they
That's
can't
right.
just go and say, well, Jesus, give me my brother back, or
Exactly.
Jesus, give me mine. So you got to really
That's right.
have a great relationship with children, and I think outside help is really important.
It's very important.
In this next segment, as we continue to deal with grief, we're going to have what's called our ministry moment. And if you have a message that you would like to share on our show for 15 minutes, we would love to highlight you. And this week's highlights, this is another Soul Shine Award recipient. Her name is Minister Terry Tucker.
And she also preached the word.
You better know it at the Soul Shine Award. She brought our ministry moment, which is why we have this segment on the show. And she's a member of Walking by Faith Ministries here in Knoxville, Tennessee, located on Holston Drive.
In fact, she's the pastor.
Yeah, one of the pastors.
That's
And
right.
so if you're interested in visiting that church, make sure you look them up, Walking by Faith. And she's got some things. That girl can make a mean pound cake.
She can make some mean sweet potatoes.
Oh, you better know it. But she gonna be selling them cakes.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna be having her some of them slices
That's
down
right.
here at the Burlington Business Suites down here, and we'll give you more information about that. But you guys join us right now as we bring in our speaker for our ministry moment this week. Her name is Ministry Terry Tucker.
Well, today my topic, if I had one, it would be everybody sitting at your table is not eating the same food you're eating.
Amen.
Can I say it again?
Yes.
Everybody that's sitting at your table is not eating the same food you're eating. Well, I'm glad you asked me, and I'm going to get into it, and I'm going to tell you why they're not. Psalms 23:5 says, Thou hast prepared a table before me in the presence of thy enemy. Thou anointest my head with oil, and my cup runneth over. Here is the word that the Lord is telling us this morning. Everybody sitting at your table is not eating what you're eating. They may sit near you. They might talk to you. They might smile at you. And they may even reach toward the same bread. But everybody at the table don't share the same appetite. Come on, somebody. Can I get a witness on that? Everything that's on the table, somebody on your table, on your road is not going to like everything on the table. And he says here, some come hungry, but some come curious to see if you could cook. That some come with the covenant mind, already have their mind made up. Whatever going to go on, we got it. And then you got some that come to carry disruption. You always have somebody at the table that's always going to keep some stirred up chaos or anything that they don't. I don't like that food. Well, don't eat it. My parents used to say, if you don't sit on the table, don't ask for it. See, we didn't have an option when we was kids. We couldn't tell them what we wasn't going to eat. We going to eat what's on that table. So if it wasn't nothing you like, well, you better eat it anyway because you ain't getting nothing else. Come on, somebody. Now, that's old school. Now, today, the kids say, I don't want that. I want McDonald's. I said, you better go on there and get that McDonald's fried chicken and everything else that I just cooked in there now. It was a privilege if we ever got anything that was taken out. It says, the Lord began to show me that the table is not just a place to eat. It says the table is where nourishment happens. It says the table is where revelation comes. The table is where strength is restored. The table is where God feeds his people. And if the enemy cannot keep you from the table, he will try to corrupt your experience at the table. What I'm saying is, if he can't stop you from eating God's word, what he's going to do, he's going to try to cause chaos at the table. He's going to tell you, well, I wouldn't eat that food. And you're going to say, why wouldn't I eat it? It's made just for me. But the devil going to say, no, it ain't. It was made for me. So he's going to have you double-minded in, do I eat the things of the Lord or do I eat the things that he want me to eat?
Everybody, man, I'm here to tell you that woman. We're gonna be doing some work with her. She's gonna be speaking. God has really had a hold of her for a long time.
Yes.
And we're just honored and blessed.
And although she can be funny, she is very serious about God.
You better know it. Now, one of the things we wanted to ask is, what are the 5 stages of grief?
Well, see, this is the thing. The lady that came up, Elizabeth Kubler, came up with this. She was talking about the grief of somebody that knew they were dying.
Yes.
And these stages are not for like just the grief of people that's living on.
Correct.
And she went to her deathbed trying to get people to understand that.
Wow.
Right.
It says in 1969, a Swiss-born American psychiatrist published a book titled On Death and Dying, in which she theorized that people grieve in stages. So one is what?
Denial.
So a lot of times you could be dealing with grief, but you deny it because you don't want to talk about it. You don't want to. And I was like that for a little while. A lot of people were around me and could not understand sometimes some of the energy that I had to stay busy, but it was because that kept me from talking about it.
Exactly.
Another one is anger.
And we definitely go through that.
We go
get
through
angry
anger.
with God.
Yes, we do.
We get angry with some people.
Yeah.
And one of mine was it really used to irritate me when people walked up to me, be like, I know how you feel when I know they didn't.
Right.
Because I was okay. Did you lose a son? Did you lose your best friend? And if you said no, it kind of really irritated me.
It irritates you because it's like you're not being sensitive at this point. I've learned that if you ain't got nothing good to say, just don't say nothing.
Anything at all.
And sometimes talking ain't what people need. They need action.
That's right.
So love on them. Bring them something to eat.
Right. And sometimes people when they're talking to you, they're not really asking you for advice. They just need an ear.
They need an ear. And that way you need to be asking the questions to keep them talking.
That's right.
That's one of the things I've learned that people that grieve is don't you do all the talking.
That's right.
Ask questions so they can talk.
That's
right. Another one is bargaining.
Yes.
You go back and forth.
Yeah, God, if you take this out for me, I'll do this.
I'll do this and I'll do that, or God,
do it this way.
Yeah, people get mad, be like, well, since my child died, can their child die, or can their son die, or can for her to know how I feel, can this happen to her? And those are very horrible feelings to have. You can also go into depression.
And that depression can last, and it doesn't have to be a ongoing thing. It can hit at different times.
And it will hit at different times.
Yes.
Because you could be on social media or whatever, and your mind, you're starting to see all these posts of people that's lost a child.
Right.
Or son in heaven, or daughter in heaven, and that ain't where you was trying to go today. And I'm like, okay, Lord, why is this showing up on this page today? But I feel like in some way it's to help bring it up.
That's right.
So that you can deal with it and call on the name of Jesus. Right. So a lot of us are not calling on Him. The God says the only way to Him is through His Son. That's so it's like you got to take the time to call on Jesus for that help at that time, and also acceptance. The U.S. National Library of Medicine notes that this theory was among the first to address death, becoming a standard for professionals aiming terminally ill patients and their families. And one of the things is with death, it's different when you deal with someone that's dying and you've been watching them slowly die, like cancer or things of this nature. But when something happens tragically or heart attacks or car accidents and things of this nature, and you're just at such a loss because you just didn't see it coming. What is the depression stage of grief? The depression stage is the fourth in the grief theory. You might feel sadness and other depression symptoms at any point in the grieving process, or not at all. The duration, frequency, and intensity of these feelings can vary. Everyone responds to loss in their own way. Understanding the characteristics and symptoms of depression stages of grief can help you recognize some experiences you may face after loss. Now, here are some symptoms of depression stage of grief, just in case you have someone in your family. So what are some of those?
Feeling sad, empty, or numb.
Feeling overwhelmed by daily life.
Experiencing despair and hopelessness.
Sleeping or staying in bed all day.
Crying often.
Feeling a wave of sadness with each reminder of the loss.
Thinking others won't understand your loss.
Believing that your grief will overwhelm others.
Withdrawing from others instead of seeking help.
Feeling tired and low of energy. Now, one of those things is really powerful because you'll see that.
Exactly. You see, like mine, I know, especially with me being an introvert, is I withdraw from others. I like to isolate, which is not good because, this older guy was telling me, he said, I want you to think about one thing. I said, what is that? He said, when you're watching the nature like we love to watch, the animals, he said, when a lion, a cheetah, or a leopard, he said, when it goes after the animal, he said, what is the first thing that it does? I said, what? He said, it isolates it from the rest of the herd.
That's correct.
Because once they get it on its own, it can't fight back. And spiritually, when you're isolated, the devil can almost kind of have his way.
He can.
That's why it's very important to have people in your life,
Because you'll sometimes think it's God talking and it's not God talking.
Exactly.
You'll be like, well, I felt something in my spirit. Okay, it was that you just didn't feel something. That was a spirit. And so
I was going to talk talking about the person that entered your office. But we're not, anyway.
Yeah, be like, all that fakeness, you know,
Yeah,
ooh, I feel the spirit. No, you don't. No, you don't. Be like, stop it. You bringing in one. I was fine till you came in here. But coping with depression stage of grief. One thing is accept support. It's important to accept the support from friends, family, colleagues, spiritual leaders, and others who have been helpful in the past. Withdrawing from people often makes feelings of depression worse.
Don't avoid your emotions. Work on accepting all the emotions that come up. No feeling is right or wrong. Self-judgment, like I should be feeling this way now, can make feelings of depression worse.
Perform a meaningful spiritual time with God. So like communion or things like that can help you process and understand the loss. For instance, if you have lost a loved one, there are many ways to remember them and honor their life. Some people write letters to the person who has passed away or seek comfort in traditions. People have candlelight vigils.
That's right.
I always remember their birthday and keep their name alive. So special holidays, Memorial Days, and things of this nature. And then whatever it was they did, if they sung, danced, cooked, stay focused in those areas. Be like, okay, how they name it? Be like, okay, Jim, you used to cook a mean cornbread. And you left up out here without that recipe, and I want it. So in Jesus' name, Holy Spirit, show me what he did.
I know that's
it's like it's ways that you can bring their memory alive because of some of the things that they did.
Okay, if grief takes hold of your life, leaving no space for anything else, it may be helpful to seek professional support because there are effective treatments available.
Approximately 9.8% of people who experience a loss develop what is known as complicated grief.
Wow.
This type of grief lasts longer than normal and creates significant disturbances in a person's life. So you'll isolate, you don't want people in your life, you don't want no relationships, and that's really bad.
It's really bad.
Really bad.
You should consider seeking help if you tend to avoid reminders of the loss. Continue to have trouble accepting the loss even after 6 months. Feel numb, empty, or overwhelmed by anger, or have thoughts of suicide.
And at any time, one thing I've learned about suicide, people that talk about suicide ain't going to do it.
That's right.
When you talk about it, that's a cry for help. Yeah. Because most suicides come with no warning. They just do it. They may leave a letter to explain why they're doing it. And at that time, people are seeking God as well. They are asking for forgiveness. Like a lot of things are going on with people. Because I've had the question asked, people think that, if you commit suicide, do you automatically go to hell? And things of this
that's so interesting you said that, because I remember one Wednesday at Bible study, and I was late getting in the chapel because I was fixing the media equipment. And as soon as I walked in, the pastor said, Brother Don, we want to hear your take on something. I said, what is that, Pastor? He said, do you feel that people automatically go to hell when they commit suicide? And I'm going to tell you my belief, and my belief is no. Because they say you go to hell because you're taking your life into your own hands. And I believe that the only way you can truly take your life into your own hands is by not accepting Jesus Christ.
Correct.
Because you got to think about it. How many times through our Christian walk did we say we was going to trust God, and things got even a little bit harder or different, and we picked it back up ourselves and we stopped trusting God, but then we trusted Him again and asked for forgiveness.
Right.
We're not going to hell for that.
Right.
And I just think at the moment of suicide, a person is, number one, temporarily insane.
Correct.
They're overwhelmed with grief, depression, and they're having some mental issues, and they at that moment stop trusting God and take their own life. And I just don't think we have a God that is just so merciless and graceless that He would send you to hell eternally.
You better know it, because it's just like people, the suicide bombers, or people that did 9/11, or just like with you being in the war. It's sometimes people think, like, if I got captured, I wouldn't want them to kill me. I'd probably want to do it myself, because they torture you.
They're going to make you beg to die.
But I do feel that a person who commits suicide, they're not in their right mind.
Of course not.
And I don't feel like God will punish them for eternity because of that insane moment.
Exactly.
Because it's no different than people that are disabled or have mental issues.
That's right.
We have to look at things a little differently because we have a merciful God. Right. We'll never know until we get there, and someone that has taken their life, we really won't know until we get there. But I do feel in my heart that there is some mercy that comes with that, because you're not in your right mind.
That's right.
We're going to come back with this segment called Mean Girls, and we're going to have a song message right quick, and we will be right back. And welcome back. And this segment here is called Are You a Mean Person? In this segment, we do mean girls all the time, and we don't just label it to being a mean girl, but are you just a mean person in general? I recently watched the movie Mean Girls again. It had been a few years since I last saw it, and I was looking forward to walking down that funny tween lane because we all have been teenagers once upon our life. But the story and the characters were all fabulous as I remember. What is a queen bee syndrome? You know, you hear that word queen bee all the time, queen bee. Queen bee syndrome describes a woman who has personal and professional success but refuses to share knowledge and tips with other women to help them achieve their own success. And this study was by T.E. Jaranet C. Taurus and G.L. Staines in 1973 have shown that it is a trait found in many women in high-power corporate positions. This could be due to their internalized telling them that all women are competitive. Other reasons for queen bee syndrome could be personal insecurities. One thing that is universally true, though, if mean girls go unchecked, they will turn into a mean woman or a mean man. One of the things, and you hear that all the time with our music artists and things of this nature, queen bee and queen this and that. You need to be very careful with the titles and the labels. That this goes all the way back to 1973. So Queen Bee, Beyonce wasn't the first one to have the word Queen Bee. This study showed that it ain't nothing positive that comes with that name. So I want you guys to understand that titles mean nothing if the subject and the perseverance of a person, it's like you got to go back and really discover when you go out here and say things like, what does that really mean? Is the adult mean girl actually mean? And the answer is yes. As the psychiatrist has said, I know from every point in our lifespan, meanness comes from a place of roaring pain. So hurt people, and that is so true. But once you get healed in an area, you become an advocate for it. So if you've always been mean or didn't like being in groups or didn't have any female friends, mainly it was because either you were made fun of, you were bullied, and sometimes you had to isolate in order to have peace. People called you nerds because you were so smart and you focused and you stayed true to what it was you was going to be when you grew up. 7 signs you are an adult mean girl. You strive to be number one all the time. Ain't nothing wrong with wanting to win, but sometimes losing is good because it makes you work a little harder. You want total control of everything. That's the Jezebel spirit. Whether it's organizing a birthday party or heading your own neighborhood watch, volunteering or anything, you just want to head everything. You want everybody to serve you and you don't serve them. You sacrifice someone else to save yourself. So at the end of the day, you and your clique see yourself as winners and you will do whatever it takes to win, even if it means those that are more deserving miss out. So you'll take the credit for something knowing good and well that it wasn't you. Don't value loyalty. So loyalty just means holding on to dead weight. You like to make friends with those who can serve you and don't mind dropping them when they are no longer beneficial to you. So you're a mean person if you just know that you are with people who are kind of weak-minded or people that are, I don't call them kissers, but it's like people that just go out of their way to serve you, and you get thrills off, carrying my purse, carry my book, open my door. Like at the end of the day, have you ever opened the door for anyone? Have you carried someone's purse? You have a clique and you're over 20. Cliques and friendship groups are different. Groups of friends are supportive. But when you're in a clique, you don't promote positive reinforcement or change. What you're doing is you're grabbing other people to be mean just like you. You push your power in subtle ways. The more you control a situation, the better even it is by manipulation. For example, you didn't like something another mom posted on Facebook, so you forget to invite your kid or her kid to the child's birthday party. So the kids, you can have kids that are friends, but then you don't like something that the mama posted on Facebook or social media, and knowing that all the kids go to school together, come home together, do everything together, you'll purposely leave that kid out. You don't feel like you're a mean girl. You may be conscious of hurting others, but mean girls don't feel it is in their guts, which is why they lack empathy. So people that are mean don't have empathy. They can know they hurt your feelings, or they always say things that blow you off, or use the word little, but they don't realize what that one word does, and that just defines who you are. Okay, so I'm an adult mean girl. What can I do about it? If any of this rings alarm bells in your ears, even a small ones, then don't panic. The first step in any form of growth is acceptance and understanding who you are as a person and where did it come from. Sometimes, you guys, when you talk about being a mean girl or mean-spirited person, it's just a person who has selfish intentions. It's only about them. What can make them look good without them having to do anything? And they're honored by people who constantly serve them and have lack of respect of their own worth and their own values. Because I'm going to tell you something. Once you wake up off that altar, people love to come to you with tissues and blankets at the altar. But when you get up and stop crying and you're in your purpose, where are they at that time? Do they come and hug you and congratulate you when you have beat that demon and have casted it out of your spirit? So I am trusting you today and challenging you to read 2 Timothy 3 today, just for you to understand, are you operating in Meanville? And if so, you got to go tell God about it. God bless.
Okay, welcome back.
Welcome back, everybody.
Hope you all paid attention to the Meanville Mean Girl segment, because you know it's horrible when that reaches the church.
Yes, it is.
Because you would notice a person that would never raise anybody, help raise anybody up to follow the assignment that God has on their life.
Correct. Because one of the things I've learned about titles, people can take titles if you're over a ministry or women's ministry or men's ministry. One of the things you got to look at is the fruit.
That's right.
Or is anybody producing any fruit? You can be up under someone as God is preparing you and molding you, but do you release people to go out into what God has called us to do? Because we are to duplicate Jesus.
That's right.
We don't need to just keep reading about him and looking and hearing about what he did, and you ain't doing nothing. You need to be like Jesus.
Right.
So anybody that's out there that's over ministries, that are helping people become what God has called them to be, one thing I want you to remember is learn how to move out of the way.
That's right. When
you learn how to move out of the way, you're encouraging someone to take that first step, because in doing so, then they're going to be on a path of their own. No two paths go the same way. So I'm grateful to all the people that have come up under the Souls Right House, because they're not the same people. When I run into them, they have grown in several areas of their life. And so we're just excited about what God is doing in this season. And we want to thank you guys for joining our show today. As we are discussing today, it was about grief. Our next show next week, we're going to be talking about restoring your gifts and your talents. And if you have a gift or talent that you would like to share with us, please submit a video to us at soulsrighthouse.com/RSVP. And you just might see yourself on our show.
That's right. And if you want to be a guest on our show, be interviewed on our show, please also go to soulsrighthouse.com.
Yes, and that's the RSVP. And what that does, it just gives us your information where you're able to give us your headshot, give us the video that you would like for us to air. And I want to thank Terry Tucker for being on our show today. And you're going to be hearing way more about her. She'll be on our show once a month. And we're super excited, which will be the first Thursday of every month. That is Terry Tucker Day. So we're excited. And next segment, we're going to have Drusilla. I'm going to give you more information about her and the She Care movement. And she's African and she's amazing. So we're going to have some wonderful things that's coming on. So once again, thank Kingdom Purpose TV family and all the people that are there on the show. And we will see you guys next week.
God bless.
God bless.